Metroid Prime 2 Echoes was released for the Nintendo Gamecube in 2004. Once again, the player takes control of Samus Aran in the first-person perspective. In terms of gameplay, if you've played the first Metroid Prime game, then you will be familiar with the playstyle here. The main antagonist of the Prime trilogy is properly introduced here with Dark Samus. The aim of this game is to travel between the light and dark worlds of the planet Ether to uncover items, some which are familiar items which come back from the first game, as well as some new ones. Another of the main antagonists of this game are the Ing, and they are basically giant dark parasite creatures, and oh my god, they are a pain in the ass. To play this game, you will need to have patience. There's arguably more to do here than the first Prime game. While it's good that there's more things to do here and more things added into the game, sometimes it makes the game even more challenging. I will say right off the bat that while I do like all three in this trilogy, I believe that the best one is actually the first one. Echoes does what it can do to improve on the original, and for the most part, it does do that. The graphics look superior, the screw attack is introduced for the first time in the Prime trilogy, we have a light and dark world which I really like, and there are some really good puzzles in the game. In the end though, I don't believe that this is as memorable as the first Prime game, probably due to the gameplay being really similar and that the story it's not as good. In the end though, I don't believe that this is as memorable as the first Prime game, probably because the gameplay is really similar and the story isn't as good. As well as that, while I do like the light and dark world mechanic, sometimes it could get very confusing, and as a result the game could get a little bit tedious, especially for people like my 9-year-old self who played this for the first time. Also, let's not forget that the light and dark world thing is nothing new to Nintendo games, as The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past also used this mechanic. For the most part, Prime 2 is a good game. It's got some nice new gadgets for Samus to use, the places you visit aren't bad either. Apart from that, the game does have its limitations. The music isn't as good as the first, even though it does have a few good tracks in there. In addition, there are a few enemies which are just downright fucking irritating. Not to mention some bosses. I mean, Jesus Christ, some of the bosses in this game that feature are just some of the hardest in video game history. And I'm not kidding either, I really mean it. You would just have to be really experienced to know what you're doing when you're fighting against bosses like that goddamn Boost Guardian, or even that bloody Spider-Ball Guardian. Oh, fucking hell. I mean, Jesus Christ. Don't even get me started on those bosses. I'd be really surprised if anyone has beaten those first time around. When you finally complete the game, you do get a sense of satisfaction that you will have completed your mission, and you hardly get that after completing some video games, so I guess that's a good thing. The large length of this game is something which is one of the main strengths here. It will take you hours if you want to complete this 100%, and on record, every time I've tried this, it's actually taken me way longer than it does for Prime 1. In that regard, the game does succeed. While I have expressed some negatives in this review, this is once again one of the gems to come out during the Nintendo Gamecube era, and I strongly suggest checking this out if you haven't already, especially if you are a fan of first-person shooters. Speaking of first-person shooters, join me next time when I take a look at another game from a once popular franchise that had you killing Nazis before catapulting us into space. If you're into your games, you might know what I'm referring to.